Shall we begin?
This is LiveSpeak with hosts Justin Gilson, Alan Quant, and John Rainey. We're bringing you tech news, gadget reviews, Kickstarter investment strategies, and anything we want to discuss with you. Stick around, it's going to be a great show.
On LiveSpeak Radio.
Welcome, everybody, to LiveSpeak Radio. It is the 27th of April, 2014, and with me is Alan Quant from thedigitalcraft.com. Alan, how you doing? Neutral. Good man. Are you net neutral? Networkly? We all know. Now, Alan is networkly challenged. Neutral. That's what I meant, not challenged. You're challenged in many other ways, right?
Generally.
It's good to be back. I haven't been on the air for a few weeks. Let you know we're broadcasting as usual on indianatalks.com. You can get their mobile app for your smartphone and listen anytime. Also, they still have a contest going. You can get $50. Chance to win $50 if you just download their app. That's pretty easy. So, indianatalks.com. We're also Spreaker.com and over on iHeart.com. I was reading the other day, we're talking about Google Glass a while back and a lot of wearable tech and things like that. And I caught an article about Google Glass moving on to contact lenses. And I didn't know they've perfected glasses yet. I didn't know they had gotten enough sales. Do people even have Google Glasses besides rich people? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Or important enough people to be on the list, anyway.
Right, exactly.
What? Do we have this in the... Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yeah. It's just,
I've been looking forward to this. I didn't know Google was working on it.
Yeah, and I knew somebody was going to grab it, and I'm sure, they have 2 patents that they got last week, or a couple weeks ago now. So I guess they're being serious about this. I didn't think that's kind of creepy. You're going to have people with contacts in there that are going to have information, and you see it in movies and stuff where they're people were walking around and they see somebody and it does facial recognition or something. How far away from that are we?
How far if we have this? This is why I wasn't. I was excited about the Google Glass, but I had watched documentaries and stuff talking about this technology coming soon, and so I've been more excited about this because you're right. It's going to be like, walking down the street and you like a little crosshair. It's almost like you're playing a third-person shooter.
Yeah.
Just zero in on somebody, and I don't know what you would do after that point. But
well, with things like LinkedIn and Facebook and all these profiles and stuff, if you had some kind of facial recognition, you can find out anything practically about anybody. So, on the spot, if you went into an interview, and you see these 3 people on a panel and you don't have a clue who they are, and all of a sudden you get this information in your contact. Like, oh yeah, that's so-and-so, and he's the senior of this, and he's the, it'd be amazing. Of course, I think it'd also make people stupid, because if you have that kind of information at your fingertips, I guess you don't need to be social anymore.
Or you're going to be extremely social. I've been complaining lately about my phone and just all the different ways that I can be contacted, It's nice back in the day when you just had a landline, and, I'm going to leave the house, so nobody can contact me until I come back to my house.
Oh man,
and that was okay. People were okay with that. Now, why isn't he answering? Why isn't he responding to my text?
Yeah,
I even Facebooked him. I Facebook messaged him, and then I Twitter tweeted him, and he didn't. And I don't know. Does he not like me?
Right, and then it's I know he's got his damn contact in.
Right,
he's got to be wearing them.
Now it's going to be you're going to be your social network is going to be like in real life now. So, I've got 9,000 friends on Facebook. I know probably 100 of them. But now all those people, I'll be walking down the street and they'll look over. Oh, that's Alan Quant. and then I'll be like, "Hi, I'm blah, blah, from your Facebook," and like now I'm never gonna be able to leave the house,
right?
Because I don't want to be contacted all the time.
Especially they have now the apps with the friend finders and stuff where you can find where your friend's at so you can avoid them. So, I mean, that's kind of a weird app to make, but that's out there. So now you can track all your friends, via their mobile phones or anything, and then I guess maneuver your way.
That'd be funny if both friends had it and the one person's trying to find the one and the other one's trying to avoid.
Constantly just
why does
disappear.
he keep moving?
It's part of the I guess evolution of technology is things like this. But right now, as far as I know, the 2 patents that they've gotten, they are working on the contacts with embedded cameras as well as lenses aimed at diabetics who need to constantly monitor blood sugar levels, which is cool. That's fantastic. And they said in the diabetic application, an embedded ophthalmic electrochemical sensor would test the wearer's tear fluid and alert him or her to any drops in blood sugar levels. The lens would include a working electrode and a much larger reference electrode. An antenna, of course, would also be included, all on the convex and concave surfaces of a contact lens. So it's going to have an antenna, so it's going to be wireless, so you could hack somebody's contact lens and make them get in a wreck.
In a wrecked? Oh, I don't.
Just in a wrecked. I guess... should have marked that one. I walked into that, didn't I?
I walked into it.
It's if you could really hack somebody's contact lenses, I mean, it'd be kind of interesting to flash images into somebody's contacts and stuff.
You just do a complete blackout.
Yeah. Well, they have. I was talking with Jason the other day, and they have contacts now where you can change the color of your eyes in the contacts. So if you want blue eyes today, you can just open your app and go beep, beep, blue eyes, and your contacts will change to blue. And now you have blue eyes. So soon enough, you won't be able to trust anybody because you won't know if their eyes are real, if their eyebrows and nose are real. I mean, it's creepy with everything being 3D printed. And man,
I want an app that like controls my facial expressions. So then you definitely couldn't. Would you tell like if I'm lying or happy or sad?
Oh, that's easy. I mean, Botox.
I was gonna say it's like the Botox app.
Yeah. Trademark. Alan Quant. Oh man, they're also for these. The contacts could be used for probably a lot of great things, and of course, probably a lot of bad things. They're saying they're also investigating the potential for this to serve as an early warning for the wearer. So they're exploring integrating a tiny LED light, also that could light up to indicate that your glucose levels have crossed above or below certain thresholds. Now, once they do that, of course, then they have an LED light that will alert you. So in that case, it can link with a phone. So as soon as they get some sort of alert system in there to let you know, oh, you got a call, or hey, you have a text message or something, in all these different colors, it's going to be kind of like the glasses that we talked about a while ago, the Samsung glasses that just flash a little red dot or something in them to show you have a phone call or whatever. I don't know how long it's going to take them. I mean, they're in discussions with the FDA, which, of course, need to be approved by the FDA before they can use them, which isn't saying much for the FDA anymore. They approve pretty much anything, even if it's going to kill people.
See, like the thing that concerns me the most about this kind of technology, because I love technology and I love where it's going, is that like the dependence on stuff like this. I mean, we already have a dependence on internet and things like that. I mean, people that go to prison and stuff have to go to therapy for because of being away from the computer and the connectivity of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
At least with a computer, and well, I guess now you have your phone in your pocket all the time, but even with that, I mean, your phone's in your pocket, so it's a distance away from you, but like when it's on your eye, I mean, you think generations from now where you're going to be raised with these things in, and if you cannot find them or they break, like, can you function?
Right.
It's like not having a car. You can't get to work,
Yeah.
Like how dependent are we going to get on this kind of technology?
Well,
pretty scary.
That's a great point, because as dependent as we are on technology now, and we've talked about it many times before with people who now that there's search engines and Google and Bing and all that, you don't have to remember anything anymore. So like you said, are we going to be so dependent on our technology that we're stupid? And like you said, that we're medically going to have withdrawals or something from this technology because we're nowadays from birth, there's so much stimulation around you, visual stimuli, that's the computers and TVs and everything, smartphones everywhere. It's an interesting thought to be, like you said, get put away into like solitary or something. What would happen if you just went off the grid?
I know you're watching that show that I watched, that Revolution show.
Yes, good show.
Now the odds of electricity just ceasing to exist is pretty slim.
Yeah,
but
it's fun to think about.
But yeah, some sort of situation like that could happen. Electricity may not go away, but if you are connected, you don't have to just lose your contacts or whatever. If the internet somehow shuts down or your connection goes down, or somebody hacks, some sort of cyber terrorism and stuff, and then, the whole country's connectivity is gone, that could be really rough.
Yeah. Interesting. There's another thing that this Google I'm reading here that the vision of the contact lenses with the cameras have some other assistive applications, and the patent filing for that product notes that the lenses could be used to alert blind people to approaching cars. For example, by taking an image and transferring the information into sound, alerting you, something's ahead of you. It's hard to imagine the public taking issue with such a medical device in that case, but in other cases, we don't know what all it's capable of. Because if it is wireless and connects, could you imagine if this thing you have a contact lens in and you could connect to, Bluetooth over somebody's phone and then look into all their contacts on their phone just by walking past them? Creepy.
Yeah, there could be some pretty crazy stuff there. And I just thought of a neat application for it, which is something you wouldn't even really need the contact lens for. I'm surprised somebody hasn't thought of this yet, but for filming, because you can't. There's no way you could get a camera in your eyeball that is as good as a lens on a
Oh yeah,
$100,000 HD camera, right? But because I'm thinking about I'm looking around my room right now, and I imagine our heads and our eyes are probably the most steady cam you could get.
Yeah,
and if you could just film something with your own body, instead of having to rely on hand, somebody holding a camera and things like that. But what you could do is you could use the movement of your head to control a mechanical camera.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. I wonder if anybody's developed that.
That's a fantastic idea. Because could you imagine being a director in a movie and being linked up to your cameras or whatever, but being able to sit there and get the shot that you want?
Right.
Trademark. That is a digital craft solution there for you folks.
Yeah, because there's all sorts of balance and stuff that we have built into our bodies that we don't have when we're holding a camera and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you need to stoop down to get a low shot, if you're holding a camera, that's going to be rigid as all get out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But your body keeps your eyeballs stay where they're supposed to be. They don't shake.
Not
and
normally.
move like a camera. Yeah, so, just stooping down to get a closer look at something is going to be a very, very fluid motion.
Yeah, and
cool.
You get two contacts, and then all of a sudden you have 3D vision, like we do normally.
Mm-hmm.
And you're filming 3D by using two contact lenses. Man.
And see, I'd imagine they would have to, if you got, these contacts would have to be developed as a pair, right? Because
I would think so. It wouldn't make much sense to do just one.
Yeah, especially if you're gonna, if they're gonna be showing things, like if it's gonna work like a screen, you're gonna need it on both. Now, see, that's gonna be tricky.
Weird.
Your contacts would almost have to be weighted like they are for people like me with astigmatism.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise they're just kind of floating around. So you'd have to have them paired up. Even if you just had one, if there's something like a screen or even just the light, it's going to end up being like in the middle of your view or off to the right or up to the top left or, just depending on where your your contact floats around to.
Yeah.
But then you you want to put in an actual like screen with text and things like that you can see off to the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're going to have to be positioned really well. But then if you put in two, which I think you'd have to have two if you want something to show up. You know what I mean? Like, it's actually,
interesting.
it just seems like it'd be really messed up if it was coming in one eye.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, because, I mean, as humans, with two eyes, that's how we get the 3D vision. If you lose one eye, you're only seeing one dimension, basically. I mean, you're still kind of, your brain is interpreting it, but you only have that one lens. So I don't know. I'm curious where they go from this, because they're talking medical right now with the diabetes and helping blind people and things like that. And Google does that kind of stuff. They work on a lot of helping things, but I don't know. I mean, a lot of things can be built into that. Just something simple as Google Maps. So if you are out lost and you have your contacts with you, you can say, where am I? And how do I get home? And you could be walking and it'll have an arrow pointing up to go straight, or an arrow turn right. You never know.
I just thought of something else from that. Like, that, man, I would love to be in the lab watching what they're doing. Because, like,
yes.
If you think about it, just imagine an arrow or a little blinking light in your field of vision right now. What are you, if something showed up in the top right of your view, what would your first reaction be?
In the top right of my view?
Yeah.
Well, probably to look up and swat it.
Well,
depends on what it is.
The first part was what I was looking for. If you look up, it's gonna move.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So this could really mess up your vision without them, because you're gonna have to get used to certain, like, yeah, it's like hard to like think about, because like if you were to move your eyeball, it's gonna move, so you're gonna have to get used to not moving to look at that.
Yeah, and that's gonna be, I mean, have you ever talked to somebody that doesn't move their head when they talk? I have. It's weird. It's very disconcerting, because it's like you're expecting them to kind of have some movement with their head. You see it a lot on reality shows when there's, no offense, but there's dumb blonde girls that just sit there and they'll just talk, but they don't move at all. And their eyes don't move and they just stare. It's creepy. Maybe they can't see both ways. I don't know. But you're right. I mean, your vision would be definitely affected.
Yeah, it's kind of screwy.
That is screwy. Let's take a quick break here and we'll come back. We'll talk about some more wearable tech. I love this discussion. There's some other ones that there's what they're calling incognito wearables that you won't even know are wearable tech. And those are the kind of things that I think Google will get into a lot more. Everybody's getting into it now. So we'll go to commercial here real quick and come back and talk about some more wearable tech on LifeSpeak Radio.
Need a do-it-yourself with your website? Let the gurus at thedigitalcraft.com teach you how to build, design, and maintain your website at an affordable price. They offer private training on web programming, graphic and web design, video production, motion graphics, and expert consulting. Book your session today on Facebook at facebook.com/thedigitcraft and check out free tutorials at youtube.com/thedigitcraft or take our courses on udemy.com. Thedigitalcraft.com, your web and design gurus.
Hey everybody, this is John from LifeSpeak Radio. Radio advertising has always been one of the best mediums for businesses to reach their target audience, and with the success of internet radio, it's reached a whole new level. Internet radio is the most cost-effective way to reach a wider audience, and at LifeSpeak Radio, we have a global audience. That means that we can offer the ideal platform for your business to advertise. To advertise on LifeSpeak Radio, get in touch with us today through our website at livespeakradio.com or send us an email to marketing@livespeakradio.com.
Check.
This is the one you've been waiting for.
Check this out. Fire.
Assume the position.
Mixing it up.
Welcome back, everybody, to LifeSpeak Radio. We were talking before the break about contact lenses, Google's contact lenses, and I just kind of want to talk about some more wearables and these incognito wearables that we're seeing. It's kind of becoming a trend. People are taking these wearable devices and making them out of clothing, not making them out of them, but inserting them within clothing and jewelry and things. Of course, one that I've seen a lot is headphones, little wireless headphones. There's these ones called the Dash headphones. They're wireless in-ear headphones, which are pretty nice actually, but they also measure your body temperature, your heart rate, speed and number of steps that you take, and number of calories burned, and then of course they play music pretty well. They say they
music.
Can you believe that? Can you believe it? Now $299. Can you? I mean, really? $300? I mean, that's rent. You know what I mean? That's just for some earbuds. Yeah. But this is the start of things. We're going to see once all these things like this get super popular. Of course, we'll have generics and things that'll be a lot cheaper. So that's how that's kind of starting. There's the Cuff, which I haven't heard of yet, but it's set for.
Sounds stupid.
It does. I mean, it's just a wearable GPS. What is it?
No. Well, I guess when connected to the other device, it will vibrate when the wearer presses a button.
When it's connected to other devices worn by loved ones. Interesting.
I don't understand.
I don't get it. Yeah, they're marketing as a tool for emergency situations and like simple attention grabbing. So if I'm walking by and you have a cuff on and I have a cuff on, I guess it alerts you and shocks you and vibrates and says, "Hey, somebody's near you."
Oh, that would get annoying.
Wouldn't it? For $150?
Hey. Hey.
Hey, me. Hey, Mom.
Hey.
Mommy. Mama.
Hello.
I mean, yeah, it's a jewelry cuff, and so it doesn't look quite like a wearable tech, but doesn't do much either.
Yeah, some of these are kind of not necessarily pointless. I mean, they have a point, but they're frivolous, to say the least.
That's a good word.
For the price, anyway.
That's a great word for it. Like, take this one. It's called Ring. It's just a ring that you wear on your finger. It's a minimal version of they say the glove in Minority Report, if you've seen that movie. It packs a lot of computing power for something that fits on your finger. And using the device, you can control home appliances and apps through custom gestures, as well as write text by drawing letters in the air with your finger. And it looks like they say it looks like a normal ring, but we'll show you the picture. We'll put the link in the chat. It's a big ring. It would be interesting to have that. So, if I was at work and that controlled my computer and everything, I could just kind of have my hand anywhere and just move it around on the table. You know what I mean? Then just tap my finger on the table, double tap to click on things, and that'd be nice. That'd be interesting. But this is $185 right now, and it's a Kickstarter at this point, so the price might change. I don't know if how they're doing on that. On their Kickstarter. I'm gonna take a look. I just wonder how much they're asking for a smart ring. Oh, it's successfully funded.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it blew past that.
They wanted $250,000 and ended up with almost $1 million, $880,000, $881,000 basically. Holy!
That's a lot of rings.
It looks a lot better on the Kickstarter than it does on that Mashable page, but wow, I'm curious to see how this does.
Huh.
It's just, all this stuff right now, the problem with it is that it still has to connect to your phone. This ring is not a phone. You can't have service on this ring. You have to have service on your phone for phone calls and text and everything. The ring will just alert you that your phone has rung, that something has happened on your phone. So until they get past that point, it's hard for me to even want wearable tech because I already have a phone. So,
yeah, it just depends on the watches. I don't like because they look like they're supposed to do a lot, but they don't actually do much. And they do. You're right. They have to connect to your phone. But anything with a screen on it, I would expect to have its own functionality.
Right.
But I am starting to get really comfortable with Bluetooth stuff. I have a nice set of Bluetooth over-the-ear headphones that I picked up a couple weeks ago that are really great. You just turn them on and all of a sudden I've got Pandora in my ear and I'm, when I'm taking a walk or doing yard work or doing whatever I want. But then I also I picked up a Bluetooth speaker the other day, which is really nice. Same concept, just turn it on, push play on your phone, and once you're paired, you're paired. So
yeah,
it's aside from there's no setting up every time you want to use it. You just turn on the speaker and and push play on your phone, and then I've got this. Not only is it a Bluetooth speaker, but it's a portable, rechargeable Bluetooth speaker. So you can just pick it up. It's got a handle and walk it into. Actually, I think it weighs less than my phone. So I can actually just pick it up and move it to another room with me. That stuff's kind of cool to me.
That is nice.
and that that's the kind of stuff that's cool without needing to have its own functionality. Which I the speaker still works for other things. So that's nice too. You don't actually have to have a phone. You can plug a CD player into it or your regular MP3 player or whatever you want. But yeah, at some point, I could see this ring could be cool, like you said, with like if it was your mouse.
Yeah.
Like a Bluetooth mouse where you can just tap anywhere.
Or a rough sketch or something that you just want to draw out. I can't draw with my finger. Have you tried drawing with like finger paint? It's retarded. You can't. But yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I could see that.
But
this next one looks really ridiculous.
The D shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The D-bag shirt.
The D-bag shirt. It's they did talk about this at CES this year, and really all it is it's a smart shirt, and it's got sensors in the shirt that connect to Bluetooth, and your activity is tracked while you move, and it's sent, of course, to your smartphone. So again, it's just a Bluetooth transmitter that monitors, what you do and how far you've walked, your temperature, all that junk. It can be transmitted to your phone just like anything else. And they say, these shirts don't weigh any more than regular shirts. They can be washed. They can be ironed. I don't know how long they would last washing them all the time with this. I don't know. There's electronics in it. That's kind of strange.
When I look at this example photo here of these people being active.
Yeah.
And I just imagine shorting mine out right away from being active.
Me too. I sweat when I move 2 feet. So, that's terrible. But, it's another thing too with this is that the conspiracy theorist in me looks at this and says, oh, perfect. Now there's a absolutely great tracking device for every human being. Just go when you're wearing a shirt. Now they can it's got GPS because it's built into it. So it could show your location on a map. So, it also comes down with these wearable stuff is how comfortable are you with everybody knowing everything you're doing? Most of it's for yourself and monitoring things. But now the next one, smart socks, really?
Yeah.
That's
looks like, what is the only point to make sure you have the same sock?
Yeah, for $190 for 10 pairs.
Now that's 10 pairs. That's pretty cool.
Ooh, and a sock sorter. Ooh, watch out.
Isn't that the only purpose it has to keep track of?
Yeah, and it's had track how many washes your socks have experienced, as well as how many washes they have left before they aren't so smart socks anymore. I just can't believe that $190 for 10 pairs of socks.
No,
that you wash them once and you're going to lose 3 of them. That's just how it is, and now you're down $190.
Yeah. It's about as dumb as the smart deucers next here.
Yeah.
If this comes down to your parent being smart. If you aren't smart enough to tell when your baby's got a deuce in the diaper,
I know.
Then
Come on.
You don't just need a smart diaper. You need to not have a baby.
Right. If you're blind, deaf, and you can't smell, this might be for you. But otherwise, why? Again, I don't know. This is an Indiegogo. That these ones particularly, I know there's probably plenty more, but we've talked about a lot of different smart wearable devices for infants and things. Monitors, I think that's cool. I think it's nice to have a monitor in your child, so they're in the middle of the night, you can check their blood pressure, make sure they're still breathing and stuff, and have alerts. So when you're sleeping, something doesn't happen. Now, on the other hand, diapers? Really?
Yeah, it says it can help you, against, the baby getting UTIs and stuff, but at the same time, still.
So does cleaning up your child.
Right. Don't be a lazy parent.
Yeah.
All of us parents have had those moments where we let the diaper get a little too thick.
Right. But you clean up and...
I did, and I didn't need a monitor to tell me that.
No. And then...
The 30 pounds extra when I picked up the baby. Tell me there was something that needed to be done down there.
Oh, it's so funny. It's so true. And it's going to, I would think it'd be kind of obtrusive for a kid too, where you're going to have all this stuff. You're going to have an ankle monitor, you're going to have a smart diaper, you're going to have a smart shirt, and the kid's not going to be able to move without you getting alerts. Just pay attention to your children, I guess. Now, the other thing, I definitely don't mind, like I said, the monitoring and wearable things for scientific or for medical reasons for babies, because if something is going on with your child and they just are upset all the time and you don't know why, maybe this would help. You could see that their heart rate is like super high, or something's going on. But until you can get a device that says they're hungry or they're crapping themselves, or what's about to happen and predict it, I don't think it's really useful. I really don't.
Yeah.
Not a diaper.
Is this going to work like the socks, where it's going to tell you how many times the diaper's been soiled?
This one
Soil
can be
count.
reused. This one only has urine. Yeah, I don't get it. And then, of course, we talked about the contact lenses. Those are the 7 incognito wearables that Mashable decided to talk about, and it just gives a little insight into what's going to be happening with wearable tech. Everybody's trying to find that new thing, but nobody's focusing on getting the wearable tech to be the instrument. Instead of all of it syncs to your phone. Nobody can get around that. That's strange. Got to have a phone, which pretty much everybody does, but I don't know. It's something different. But different can be good. We talked about, the contact lens and being able to adapt to that technology and get used to it, and would we be able to get used to it and change how we are currently. Now, it brought something up in my mind. The other day I was watching something. It was a Kickstarter a while back called the True Grip. It's a mobile keyboard, and it's very, very strange. The keys are actually on the back of this device, and you hold it vertically. I'll put the link in the chat here. It's truegrip.com, TREWGRIP.com. What it does to people, though, we're so used to the QWERTY keyboard. We're so used to that setup. And when I saw this, and there's been a lot of videos talking about this keyboard, this True Grip, a lot of people can't type on it. Obviously, because the buttons are behind, you can't see really what you're doing. But it's laid out differently. It's not in true QWERTY fashion. The keys are completely different. And I've watched a bunch of videos of people trying to use this, and they just struggle and struggle and struggle. And then, of course, there's like 3, nerds that are super good at it, and they win the world championship of typing and stuff. But it's an interesting thought. It's a cool device because your tablet, your smart device, will clip right into the center, and so you have your screen right there, and you can just type and walk around with this thing. But you got to get used to it. And I don't know. With that, do you think we could change from QWERTY to something else like
this? This is QWERTY.
Is it QWERTY? I mean, the way it's laid out, if you look at it, I guess it is QWERTY.
See, if you lay your hands down on your keyboard in the QWERTY fashion, then keep your fingers the way they are. Then lift your hands up and then rotate them. That's how they built it.
Oh, you're right. I'm looking at it. So the ASDF, it would hit right there.
Yeah. Yeah,
so I guess
you just have to be one of those people that doesn't actually look at the keyboard when they type,
and
like me.
They did something smart on this too. And on the front side, there's little tiny gray letters, which represent the ones where you're touching, and then there's red lights every time you touch.
Oh, that is smart.
So you can see. Oh, yeah, I did touch that one. It would just be a little different to get used to. But it, in that mindset, if we totally came up with a different design for a keyboard, completely different, I just don't know if we could take it. We've been using the QWERTY keyboard for so long that if somebody came up with a different way or version, I don't know. They originally did the QWERTY. For those who don't know, they did that QWERTY and rearranged them the way they are because when it was in alphabetical order, back during the typing machines, people were going too fast. They are way too fast. They were breaking machines because you could type in alphabetical order. You knew where everything was. So they changed it to this new setup, so you actually had to learn a new technique, and that has stuck forever. So it's interesting to think of when that's going to change, or if it'll ever change. I just thought,
yeah,
this
or
was
should
cool.
I mean, if that goes faster, should we not be like teaching our children to type with the alphabetical keyboard so that we can phase these out.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Interesting. Because I couldn't imagine typing with an alphabetical keyboard. That would.
Oh, I know, right? That'd be strange.
Excuse me.
That'd be very strange. But people are making things like this, and this is one of the first ones that I've seen that, I mean, I would like to try. I've seen a lot of weird ergonomic keyboards and things like that. I mean, you could even connect this Bluetooth to your laptop, to your desktop computer, and sit back and type, if you wanted to. Or maybe even I don't know if you could hook a USB monitor to it. That'd be interesting.
This would definitely be cool, like, if this is on your TV or something.
Yeah.
Because I've tried.
That's a good point.
I've tried different setups with my TV and a wireless keyboard, and it's just it's never really comfortable because you gotta set the keyboard on your lap, and then typing like that is kind of uncomfortable. Although it would be uncomfortable to hold the keyboard the whole time, but at the same time, I think it'd just be really relaxing to just kind of lay back and type.
Yeah, and it's totally ergonomic. Your hands are in a perfectly normal position. They're not flat down on a table, to give you carpal tunnel. They're upright, the direction that they normally are. I mean, you could type all day.
What do these run?
Gosh, I don't know. I haven't seen a price for them yet.
Like, it's funny because they shouldn't really be that expensive. It's just a keyboard,
Oh, yeah.
Arranged in a different, there's nothing fancy. I mean, aside from the fact that you can clip a phone in there.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be more expensive, too much more expensive. Are they selling them or are they not?
As far as I know, they've just been showcased at CES so far. So I'm sure that it's like Google Glass where they've given some out, or some bloggers and things are using them, but I have yet to find a price anywhere.
Huh.
Now the middle of it, which is smart but kind of freaks me out, is it's got like a grip plastic or grip rubber on the inside. So you just set your smartphone or your tablet in the middle. It doesn't clip in or anything. So when you're holding this thing vertical, that means that your smartphone or your tablet is vertical to the ground and could fall right off. But they did that for universal dock, of course. I don't know. It looks like it'd be a good gaming keyboard, maybe. And maybe they'll adapt this design for gamers, because gamers have to have a certain layout of keys. They use the ASDF and different things. I'm not a gamer, so I don't know. That could be cool.
See, they need to incorporate. I mean, if you're doing this with a phone, this maybe not with a computer or anything, but they need to incorporate some sort of touch on the back, so that since your hands are already going to be back there, you need to be able to tap or move or swipe or something.
Yeah, and they have
otherwise then you got to bring your hand back around.
Well, they have thumb buttons on the front, I believe. I think the thumb buttons are for there's a tab and an enter, and then there's a little one on the right hand it looks like a little oval button, and that's a mouse pad. So you can move around and stuff. But again, that's really strange. I don't use my thumb for navigating. My thumb is not, trained. It's my fifth appendage. It just doesn't do much. So I don't know if I could use that or not. But
that'd be interesting.
Hopefully
they're not too expensive.
Yeah, I wouldn't
try one out.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was a $200 keyboard easily.
Yeah, really.
And it should be a $50 keyboard probably. But they say also the training on it is it takes about 8 to 10 hours to train to use this thing, apparently. They can achieve 90 to 100% of their keyboard typing speed and something called unconscious competence within 8 to 10 hours. So you get 8 to 10 hours spending using this thing, and apparently you're right back to normal or just below.
Well, they did something interesting that I wonder if they thought this through or not. But the way that the shape of the keys is backwards. Keys are normally more of a vertical. I mean, you probably don't even notice until you actually look at them. But the regular letter keys are not a square.
No, they're
actually
a rectangle.
tall.
Yeah, a tall rectangle.
Yeah. And on this, did it the other way around. They're a long rectangle, and the little grooves. Well, no, I guess the grooves are still on the right and the left. But yeah, I don't know.
And it's just the feel of it that you're typing. Not so much up and down to reach the keys. Your hands are moving left or right, and I think that's what's going to screw people up. Although your hands technically are moving upward to the keyboard, they're still going left and right. I don't know. I think it'll be confusing for a lot of people. I don't see it being a huge seller, but it is nice. They did a good job on it. It's something new.
Yeah.
American built. That's nice. But who knows? We'll see. There's something else I was reading, and it's Nissan, actually. I thought they had made this brand new car or something, but apparently it's a new paint that can never get dirty. And, of course, when I read that, I was like, whatever. Yeah, right. Now, I watched the video, and we have this on our website, too. You can go to livespeakradio.com and click on Tech News, and you can see this. There's a video in there, and what they use is this super hydrophobic and aleophobic paint, which repels water, and some oil-based liquids. And Nissan's currently trialing on one of its cars in Europe. So the video on our website, if you watch it, it's pretty amazing. They paint the car, half of it with regular paint, and then they paint the other half with this new super hydrophobic paint. And they go sloshing around in mud, and they drop water and dirt and stuff on it, and it just beads right off. It's amazing. I mean, it's interesting to me when I see things like this. I think, why has it taken so long to come up with that? You know what I mean? There's been so many innovations to cars and things like that, but nobody has focused on the paint. And that's cool. I mean, most people wash and then wax their cars to keep them clean, and this one it just goes right off. You don't even have to worry about it. No, that's
I could use that right now.
I bet you could.
I got some funk. I'm almost to the stage where someone's going to write something in there. Clean me.
Is that the end of the winter type funk from your driving around all winter?
Yeah, it's the Fort Wayne or Midwest never ended up getting out of winter, so we had a couple of misleading warm days there for a while, and a lot of us went out and washed our cars, and then 2 days later we have another snowstorm. Wow. So now I'm waiting. I'm going to wait at least a few more weeks to make sure that we're not going to get some rogue snowfall.
Just when you think you're safe. I know. It seems like every time I wash my car, the next day something happens and it's over. Or later in the same day. I just don't have that great of luck unless I do it in mid-July. Then I have pretty good luck. But yeah, I don't know. It's funny. I love when people go kind of out of the mold and they think about things like this, like the paint, or with Dyson, the guy that changed the vacuum. The vacuum was the same forever, and then this guy totally changed it. So the one thing I'm still waiting for an absolute amazing inventor to change is the toilet. I'm curious if anyone's ever going to change it, or what would it be?
3 seashells.
Yeah, it could be. MDK. Murder, death, kill. So I don't know. That's cool. I just like seeing that kind of stuff. Now it's not available yet, and they're going to have it as an aftermarket option for some models. But I think mainly in Europe is where they're going to debut. But see, now this paint can be used for. I mean, you get this hydrophobic paint, you put it on a house, then your house will never need to be repainted. I mean, eventually probably touch it up, but you're not going to have the problem of your house getting all nasty and stained and all that stuff.
Yeah, like our vinyl siding in the back.
Oh, that's a perfect example.
Yeah, like we have, we don't live in the desert, so we've got trees everywhere, and the green just funk from things being blown off in the fall, and hitting the side of the house, and just dirt and just everything that gets blown around the backside of the house is just so filthy. And it's not a fun thing to clean either, because that stuff just gets caked in there. Mm-hmm. That's not just get a high pressure sprayer and spray it off. You got to actually scrub it.
Right.
That would be nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. All the applications, when somebody comes up with something little like this that can be applied to many different things, I think it's awesome. That's the kind of innovation I like to see.
I wouldn't mind painting myself in it.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
I'd probably die because it would hold all my sweat in and all of my heat, and I'd probably just die.
Yeah, probably true.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have to talk about this, about Microsoft and their Windows 8 support, but let's go to another break here. We're going to go to a music break, and we'll talk after the break about Microsoft. They're dropping some support for Windows 8.1, but I'll explain that in further detail here in just a second. We're going to play some Tabby Callahan from X Factor. This is called My Oh My. We'll be back on Livespeak Radio.
I believe in woman, my oh my. I believe in loving, my oh my. Don't a woman need a man? Try and catch one if you can. I believe in woman, my oh my. We all need someone to talk to, my oh my. We all need someone to talk to, my oh my. You need a shoulder to cry on. Call me, I'll be standing by. We all need someone to talk to, my oh my. We all need a lot of loving, my oh my. Yeah, a whole lot of loving, my oh my. I can lend a helping hand if you ain't got nothing planned. We all need some loving, my oh my. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We all need a lot of loving, my oh my. Yeah, we need a lot of loving, my oh my. You got troubles on your own, no need to face it all alone. We all need some loving, my oh my. So let's all pull together, my oh my. Yeah, let's all pull together, my oh my. We can ride the stormy weather if we all get out and try. So let's all pull together, my oh my. I believe in woman, my oh my.
Hey everyone, it's Amy Newmark, publisher, editor-in-chief, and co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. You're listening to Live Speak on iHeartRadio.
Back again.
Now that we paid the bills, we're back with Justin, Allen, and John on Live Speak Radio.
Welcome back, everybody, to Livespeak Radio. I mentioned before the break this new situation for Microsoft, another fantastic move on their part to bring in more and more customers and make them love Microsoft. Just kidding. This is absolutely not even close. They're confirmed that they're dropping Windows 8.1 support. Now, it's very confusing because they keep saying that they're dropping Windows 8.1 support, but they don't tell you that you can still get support. You just have to install some random security patch or an update. Which is, I don't understand that. Normally, yeah, you install the update, you get more. But they're saying you have to install this patch that's coming up in May, the first Tuesday of May. It's Patch Tuesday. You have to install that update in order to get future updates. So, by all means, you can choose not to. It's just if you don't have it, they won't give you any more security updates or anything like that. So your computer can be vulnerable. I don't know what the update is, but they mentioned in this article the best term or phrase that they could possibly have for Microsoft. And they say in what is surely the most customer antagonistic move of the new Windows regime, Steve Thomas at Microsoft posted a TechNet article on last Saturday, stating categorically that Microsoft will no longer issue security patches for Windows 8.1 starting in May. And this is what it says here. Since Microsoft wants to ensure that customers benefit from the best support and servicing experience, and to coordinate and simplify servicing across both Windows Server 2012 R2, Windows 8.1 RT, and Windows 8.1, this update will be considered a new servicing support baseline, beginning with the May Patch Tuesday. Windows 8.1 users' devices without this update installed will no longer receive security updates. This means that Windows 8.1 users, starting Patch Tuesday in May and beyond, will require this update to be installed. Now, if the Windows 8.1 update is not installed, future newer updates will be considered not applicable, so you can't install them. Now, what they're not telling you is that Windows 8.1 customers are having horrible problems trying to install this update. At this point, they said there's over 300 posts on the Microsoft Answers Forum thread talking about the Windows 8.1 update failing to install with tons of blue screen errors. And that makes me want to run out and get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like they're doing everything possible to drive their customer base away. And they're saying, you have to have this update, or we're not going to give you any more. So what is this update? What do we have to have on our computer so bad? Tracking software? I mean, I'm sure that's already there, but what is this that is so important that they're going to stop you from getting it? Now, him saying that this is going to be a servicing or support baseline, maybe it's something strategic for them to see, hey, let's start fresh, square one, and see how many people actually are getting our updates and want to continue to get updates. Maybe.
No, I think they failed. I think they screwed something up royally, and rather than support the failure, they're going to force you to do this. Otherwise, they're just going to say we're not messing with this because we messed it up so bad.
Right.
That, yeah.
God, you got a point. That's a really good point.
What? And I'm looking at this 8.1 8.1 through this article, and it's like, what a dumb move in general. They should have. There's nothing wrong with the service pack method of doing things that they've done forever. 8.1 adding,
so confusing.
It's the same. It's the same concept as making a service pack, but it just says failure. Look, 8 didn't work. We're gonna give you 8.1
with the start menu.
Start button.
You're right. Yeah. Start button.
Yeah. It's just everything they're doing is stupid. They shouldn't have changed anything. They were perfectly fine. The way they were, they should have. Oh, yeah. I can harp about this forever. And RT is really driving me nuts. I've been looking at Windows tablets, and you can find. The Surface is ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
But you can find like Acer and Asus tablets for substantially less money. But you have to be really careful because some of them don't clearly state that it's RT and not 8 or 8.1, and it's just so stupid. It should just all be one thing, and what a dumb.
Yeah, never mind that Microsoft yanked Windows 8.1 updates from corporate WSUS update servers, which is the actual big server that sends out the updates, almost a week ago, and hasn't offered a replacement for that. And never mind that third-party software like Malwarebytes is encountering compatibility problems with this new update. Never mind that up until last week, most new PCs were sold with this now shunned software of 8.1. And most damning of all, Steve Thomas reiterates the absurd decision to cut off Windows 8.1, but keep security patches going for Windows 8 itself. So he says, for those users who are still using Windows 8 and Windows 2012, not 8.1 and 2012 R2, you're unaffected and will continue to receive updates as normal. The new baseline only exists for 8.1 and Server 2012 R2. So if you were smart and lucky enough to not upgrade to Windows 8.1 and you're still just have Windows 8, you're fine. Just continue to do updates. Just don't install the 8.1 update.
You see, I would expect this crap from
from a new company, or
Yeah.
even if computers haven't been around forever. But I mean, you think of computer, you think of Microsoft.
Yeah.
I mean, Apple now a little bit, because I mean they're into the consumer market and they're pretty big now. But I mean, it's just so stupid from a company that basically created the personal computer to be making these kind of mistakes.
Yeah, it's very strange. Now, at the same time, they say corporate administrators have been advised to hold off on deploying this Windows 8.1 update. And Microsoft says Microsoft plans to issue an update as soon as possible that will correct the issue and restore the proper behavior for Windows 8.1, scanning against all supported configurations. Until that time, we are delaying the distribution of this Windows 8.1 update to the Windows servers. You may still obtain the Windows 8.1 update from the Windows Update Catalog or the MSDN online. However, we recommend that you suspend deployment of the update in your organization until we release the update that resolves the issue. So their update has a problem that needs an update already. How ridiculous is this? I wish I could talk to somebody at Microsoft. We need to get somebody on the show because I don't understand what they're doing. Nobody does. Steve Thomas is like he's just throwing darts at cards that have ideas on them. You know, let's try this. I just don't get it. Now, with 3 weeks left, of course, or 2 now, until Windows 8.1, the end of support, until the next round of security patches appear with Windows 8.1, Microsoft still hasn't figured out how to get Windows 8.1 update out to the corporate update distribution channels. So people that have, corporate accounts...
As if any corporate or companies were actually using 8 at all.
Right. And, John makes a good point, too, in the chat here that Windows XP just recently, April 17th, I think, they stopped supporting it at Windows XP. So that took out another big chunk of their only working software. So XP's gone. Can't have any, or it's not gone. You can still use it. There's just no security patches and updates anymore. And then you move up past that was Vista. That's throw that on the shelf. That's crap. Then you have Windows 7. And that worked. And it was phenomenal after a while. It wasn't fantastic at first, but it worked. And then all of a sudden they go with 8. And then shortly after that, they go, hold on. We're going to put a start button on here because you, the customer, said you want a start button. And we'll call it 8.1. And we're going to confuse everybody by calling this one 8.1 RT, and this one 8.1 Surface, and this one 8.1 2000 RT. It's just ridiculous. What the hell are they doing?
Jeez.
I don't get it. And
they need to put out 9 and be done with it.
They really do. They need to stop screwing with this. Just leave it. Do the security updates so people don't get their computers, wiped out by another heartbleed bug. And call it good, man. I think they have one last chance at an operating system. At a successful one, I should say, because they can probably make 50 more with the amount of money they have. But I think they have one more chance at a good one.
Or the amount of planning they're putting into them.
Right.
Can put one out overnight. Oh, this might be fun.
What's an alpha? Yeah, what's beta? Hold on. Yeah, and that's, that's where Apple has kind of taken reins over top of them is their planning and the solidarity of their software is it's just there. It works. And you don't ever hear about, hey, by the way, Apple users, you need to install an update or we're not going to give you anything. There'd be an uproar. Apple users.
Well, you know what?
Oh my God.
You think about it. I think, and this is one thing that's really bothered me about the new thing. And, we've talked about before is that kind of mixed match of operating system right now. You get this like half Metro, half regular. And I was just talking to somebody the other day who has a Mac. I was teaching somebody and, they were talking about how much they love their Mac, but the biggest thing they hate about it is that, things don't normally go wrong on their Mac, but when they do go wrong, they're substantial and they don't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
Whereas with a PC, you feel like you can get into everything. I mean, fixing a problem on a PC is so much easier. Mm-hmm. But once you start taking away that interface you're used to and the ease of getting around all that stuff,
oh God,
then if I have to do something in the Metro interface, that control panel, like even just connecting a Bluetooth device, I hate it.
It's maddening.
It doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And it takes up my whole damn screen.
It does, yeah.
I just want to connect a device really quick. It should be just like the little pop up for like on Windows 7 when you're connecting to a wireless network. It should be a little pop up down at the bottom of your screen that doesn't interfere with everything.
Exactly.
But yeah, something as simple as changing a setting or something like that should not devour your entire screen.
Yeah, absolutely terrible.
Silly. I mean, one thing I've noticed though that's different from past releases. I've been helping another student with looking at computers to purchase, and I've been looking at places like Tiger Direct and Newegg and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you find a lot more systems still carrying Windows 7 than back in the day. Like when Windows 7 came out, it was almost as if Windows XP and Vista never existed. I mean,
you had to get Windows 7.
Yeah, it's really hard to find one, and you had to pay a lot of money to get XP put on there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of options out there to get Windows 7 because it's such a failure.
Yeah. Now let me make this note for everybody listening with Windows 7, and I also want to thank again quickly Indiana Talks for letting us broadcast on there. Go and get their mobile app at indianatalks.com and win $50. The fact that they have totally lost what I was thinking about. I started thinking about the Indiana Talks app, and now I have no idea what I was talking about.
It blew you away.
It did. That chance for $50 has just got me. No, I there's they're talking now, of course, about this faster release cycle of their updates and their operating system. Basically, now they're talking that the Windows 8 Start menu might return, or should return, in August. Thanks to this news. Now, it's, of course, do you trust anything they say? No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So they talk about this, and I'm reading down through the article, and they say that the Windows 8.1 Start menu, when it eventually returns, will look like a hybrid. A Windows 7 Start menu. And this is at the bottom of the freaking article, and when I saw it, I went, oh, no. So you got Windows 7 and then a tile-based Windows 8 Start screen mashed in together into your Start menu.
Oh, my God. Give it up.
Right? What
and
the heck?
You don't need to lose it either. I don't get it. I don't understand. They don't understand that the Metro thing is great for a tablet or a touch device.
Yeah.
Keep it.
Fine.
But give you an option. Don't smush them together and break the good thing.
I cannot believe that.
Wow, these people are stupid.
I don't know what Steve Thomas is doing, but he needs to step down.
Everybody in that company, like, who are these people? It reminds me of, like, these, like, sheltered wealthy people that what is a McDonald's?
Right.
Like, they're in this, like, total different world from the regular person, and Microsoft seems to be in this, like, magical world of their own where they don't understand consumers. I don't get it.
Yeah, at all. I mean, they're not even attempting to. It's like somebody gives you an idea and you take it, and just for fun you mess with it and throw a bunch of crap in there it doesn't need to be. Just cuz.
Yeah, it's like I cannot imagine working there right now. I mean, because either every one of their developers is an idiot and thinks this way too, or it's like one of those companies where, like, you just want to either kill yourself or your manager or both. Right. Because your manager has no idea what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. Hey, yeah, why don't you do this? Because that's stupid. No, just do it.
Yeah.
Like,
with no
it reminds
reasoning.
me of. Yeah, like, it reminds me. I failed. I mean, for somebody who makes their living not only doing multimedia related things but teaching multimedia related things, you'd be surprised to find out that I failed my multimedia course in high school because I had a teacher like that who, would give us these ridiculous projects that absolutely taught us nothing and were pointless. And so I just went ahead and did whatever I wanted to. But that's just how I feel about what's going on over there at Microsoft. Like,
I don't get
someone has to have a clue, and the people that have a clue over there, I mean, they're not listening to the consumers and the public.
So who's paying them?
But they're not even, and they're not even listening to the developers inside their own company. So.
No. And that's, we talk about that with Google and the developers there, and the reason that Google keeps growing is because they do things like once a week for the entire day, you get to work on something of your own. Whatever it is, you just do something of your own creative every week. And that gives these people that freedom to come up with new things. Now, if you're working at Microsoft, you're stuck doing stupid updates, even though you don't want to. And could you imagine being the guy that builds this new start menu hybrid thing? Oh my gosh, I would hate it. But the other thing that they don't realize here too is now consumers, of course, are going to be excited about the rapid release cycle for the start menu. It's going to seem amazing. But for enterprise and businesses, like for me as an IT systems administrator, it's really difficult with this quick release cycle that they have to plan and to test it. I mean, we're used to such a slower Windows release cycle, which gives us all kinds of time to test and to plan these rollouts for hundreds and thousands of computers. But now they're going to do this random release cycle that's so fast. It's basically like saying, remember when XP came out with Service Pack 3? It was a big pain. But we also had time to plan for that because they're like, well, 18 months from now, Service Pack 3 is going to come out, and here's what you're going to expect. With this, it's just like, oh, here, try this, enjoy. And it's really difficult.
Like throwing darts at a concrete wall. I mean,
yeah, right. And it's, as an IT systems administrator, it's really difficult to plan for that sort of thing. And, I mean, you get updates that cause blue screens and things like that. I'm not going to do that in my network. I'm not even going to attempt to touch any of this crap in my network. So it's interesting. And, of course, they upset a ton of businesses announcing that they'd only support Windows 8.1 for 30 days after the release of Update 1 if you don't get it. Now, I guess they changed that to 120 days because of backlash. Thank you, Microsoft, for changing that to 120 days.
I don't get it.
They just want to keep up with Android and iOS with their releases and stuff and their updates, but that's not what Microsoft is. It never has been. And unless they're just
Android is a much less involved operating system.
Much. And come on, I mean, do you really want to update your operating system that often? Who would make a stable operating system and let it work for a year?
Well, and there's this trend that, I mean, you bring up Google as having good practices, and they normally do, but they're actually falling into this bad trend too of just cramming things down your throat.
Yeah.
Like Google Plus. Google Plus reminds me of the Windows Start menu, or Start screen. Sorry.
Right.
It makes absolutely no sense, but yet they keep pushing it, even though people keep saying this is stupid, we don't like it. Now, I'm all for businesses being able to do whatever the hell they want, like smoking laws.
Right.
If you want to have smoking in your building, that's fine. If it's going to make you lose your customers, that's your own problem. But the same thing with this stuff. If you're going to continue to cram stuff down people's throat like this, you're going to lose your customers. So, go ahead and do whatever you want. It's your company. That's awesome.
Right.
You have that right. You are an American. But don't be sad when people don't like it.
Exactly. And don't be surprised.
Yeah, and don't keep polishing it. It's a turd.
Exactly.
Don't go wiping turd streaks all over my start menu.
Exactly. You end up with some poopery.
I can't believe that. It's like, oh, hey, good news. Oh, nope. No, it's not.
Yeah. It's like they won't allow anything good to come out of there. It's like, oh, you want to start menu? Yeah, we can do that. We're going to also cram this crap into it, too. And, I'm looking at a potential screenshot of that start menu, and it's hideous. It's hard. I mean, I'm so used to having my all programs, and then on the right chunk, I'm my computer, network, control panel, all that stuff right at my fingertips. But instead, it's got all your apps, and then on the right side, it's all tiles. So,
yeah, that's stupid because then now that damages the mobile layout.
Oh, you're right.
You're basically taking out the good part of the start screen for mobile and ruining it. And see, that's what I'm saying. Like it should have the entire operating system should have been a dual situation. Like if I'm on a desktop Like their Windows apps are probably great, but I don't use them. I never use them.
No.
I've never opened a Windows app unless it was an accident.
Yeah, I won't.
And but I'd be more apt to see what I did there.
App.
If it just opened in a window. The main reason I don't use them is because, again, it takes up my whole screen. Of course, yeah, you can do that silly split screen thing that is confusing as all get out, where you have desktop on one side.
I still haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah, it's pointless because all you do is you cram that other app over into a space that it doesn't fit.
I just can't get it to work. I have to. I'll pull something onto the screen and then I'll go to use the other one, and it'll just switch to Metro mode. I'm like, wait a minute, I wanted both on the screen. Whatever. So I just give up.
Yeah, it's like, and if you can get it to work, it doesn't actually function well because the apps are built to be full screen. So all you do is actually just shove it to the right. You don't squish it. You don't change the shape of it. You just shove it off the screen basically. Right. So you only see a sliver of it. So you're not actually adding any productivity there. But if the app's opened in a window when you're on a desktop, then they'd be perfectly fine because then I have control over it. I can move it. I can shape it. I can minimize it. I can do whatever. So until they do that, I mean, unless I'm on a mobile device, I see absolutely no reason to use an app from them because of that forced.
No.
Now, and again, there's people that have built plugins for Windows that allow you to do that. So basically, am I going to get a refund for all the plugins I had to buy to fix their operating system before they decided to put it back to normal? Because if they put the stupid Metro Mix Start button on there, I'm just going to keep my Start 8 button.
Right. Exactly. And there's, it has created a little market for these third-party start menu systems. And I want to let everyone know, too, there's we've talked about this before, and we had the owner and creator on for a Ninite, or Ninite, NINITE.com. It's a website where you can go in and basically package together a bunch of software for like a brand new install, or if you're like me and you get a Windows 8 machine and you want to make it look like Windows 7, it's nice. You can go in there and get all these different software, Adobe Reader, Chrome, Firefox, all in one package, and then you just hit go and it installs all of it for you. And they recently added a classic shell start menu, and it looks just like Windows 7. And it's customizable to make it look like Windows 8 if you want. You can make it look like XP. Totally free.
Nice.
Yeah, so it has there shouldn't be those third-party things. I mean, some people would probably make their own custom ones, but that shouldn't be your default. You know what I mean? I shouldn't buy an operating system.
I feel really stupid if I release something and then people are making money fixing what I released.
Yeah. I mean, it's
especially when I had it perfectly fine before.
Right. Yeah. I just don't. I don't understand. And we got to remember too that they acquired Nokia, and Steve Thomas was from Nokia. He's a mobile guy.
They acquired another failing turd.
Right. So next they'll be buying BlackBerry. And having somebody from BlackBerry run their division. I just don't get them. Microsoft blows me away. Now there are rumors though that they're going to be releasing Windows 9 in April of 2015. So that's a year from now, and we haven't even heard of it. So could you make a brand new operating system in 1 year and release it perfectly?
Better than they could, probably.
Probably. But for these people, it's going to be a whole year of updates for Windows 8.1, and then they're going to say, we couldn't get 9 done, so we're going to give you 8.2. I know it. Absolutely. That's what's going to happen.
Is there any details on the Windows 9 release yet? I don't even see a Wikipedia yet for it.
Kind of. I mean, there's just a bunch of rumors really right now, and they talk about Windows 9 is slated to include several features that Microsoft fans wished, of course, we had appeared in Windows 8. They say the start menu, which is missing from the versions. Is expected to be a focus of interaction in Windows 9 after the protests from it. Go figure. They said one of the most interesting rumors about Windows 9 is the idea that it might be released as a free operating system. That's not going to happen. Microsoft Corporation is suddenly competing with 2 free operating systems from Google, and the company may try to compete on a price. a freemium operating system is a possibility, and Microsoft may release a free version that can be upgraded in order to add premium features. Of course, like they do now with Windows 8. If you want 8 Pro, you're going to pay extra. The same thing. So the modern or Metro interface that Windows 8 is based its entire interaction on may not have been popular, of course, with desktop users, they say. But Microsoft, guess what, isn't giving up on that idea. An updated version, likely including windowed versions of the modern applications, will form the center of Windows 9. So, you know how we've used StarDocs, Start 8, we've used Fences, and we've used, there's Modern Mix. Modern Mix is the one that allows Metro programs to run in your Windows desktop. I think that's all it's going to be. Basically that. They're going to allow their modern Metro crap to run in desktop mode and call it Windows 9. But these are all rumors, you know. So most of the rumors about Windows 9 and the further plans of Microsoft, of course, has for its Windows ecosystem come from a single Russian source. WZOR has been a good source of rumors about Microsoft somehow offering in the past, and it can be hoped that the most recent speculations about the future of the operating system are true. Rumors about Windows 9 will continue to build until Microsoft sets out its vision for the future of the world's most popular operating system, and the company's future may rely on its next release being a real success. And absolutely, of course, they're hoping they have something. Oh, God, I just don't get them.
Silly.
And I just wonder, too, how, I mean, a lot of this, they're still, Microsoft, it's on the NASDAQ. I mean, how is their stock holding up? What is it doing right now? I just don't get it. I mean, I know they make a lot of money and they're pretty rich, but I can't imagine them making, I'd like to see what their sales have been like versus Windows 7 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it reminds me of like say your grandparent made a lot of money, became very wealthy, had a lot of great ideas, and then passed on that money to his stupid drug addict, worthless grandchild, and they just blew through all Grandpa Bill Gates' money. You know, like all the great things that Bill Gates and Microsoft put together.
Yeah,
they're the only reason why they are still a company right now, and they're just blowing it all to hell.
Yeah, I just don't get it. And here's a couple more rumors from that WZOR. Also, of course, we talked about maybe free, but they also say that Microsoft has a Windows cloud in the works, with the core initial version of Windows similar to Windows Starter Edition, and a more functional version of Windows available for free in the cloud. Oh man, a cloud version of Windows. Good luck. I don't know.
Well, it might actually run better than, because at least it's probably going to look like Windows. I don't know. It just blows my mind. Like with the phone and everything, like because I'm looking at a picture of that. I was looking to see if there's anything on Windows 9. There isn't, but right. I'm looking at the tile layout of the phone, and like Windows, you could probably run a light version of the actual Windows operating system on a phone these days.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why didn't they do that? Yes, give you the option to have that start screen, you know, that tiled screen, like a swipe from the left pulls that over, you know, but then a swipe from the right brings back your desktop, so you can do. I mean, that's why I was so excited about the Ubuntu phone.
Oh man,
because it's it's a full operating system, and it can be used. God, they could do so much more if they could make you, because I think what they're probably more interested in selling you a tablet, a phone, and a desktop rather than turning their phone into all of those in the above.
Yeah, and I think that's because of how they've done things, and they're reacting to that. So they have to sell things in bundles because that's their only selling point. Their only selling point is that if you have a Windows phone, mobile phone and a tablet and a computer, you know, you can sync all of your stuff to the three. That's really their only selling point. You know, you can have a roaming profile. So your desktop shortcuts are there and history and all that stuff. But with all the cloud stuff going on, who needs that? Who needs Microsoft to do that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think of all the things that I would sync between my phone and my computer, and I can already do it with my Android.
Yeah.
Yeah, my drive and contacts and all that stuff.
You know,
I don't know. It's just a shame. Like if it wasn't the company that's made the operating system that, you know, we have all grown up with, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. You know, if this was Google making these dumb mistakes, whatever, it doesn't affect your life. But I mean, if Windows actually goes under and they stop making Windows machines, then I have to learn a whole brand new OS because no one's going to make software for it anymore. And you're going to have to go into either Apple or, you know, XYZ company that decides to make a new one.
Mm-hmm.
It's just silly. I don't want Windows to go away.
I don't either.
So.
I want it to just stay the way it is and allow the developers to do what they do and make their software better and just leave the operating system alone, man.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, focus on something else. But it's interesting we talk about the cloud because I've been hearing this discussions about Dropbox being possibly the next big acquisition for Google. And there's questions of why Google should buy Dropbox when Google Drive does the exact same thing. And it's basically because it's exactly the same is why they want to try and buy
take
it.
out the competitor, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if
got it out and take whatever good parts Dropbox has that they don't own the rights to.
Yeah. Now, I don't know whether Google absorbs Dropbox into Google Drive or keeps it around as some standalone product or completely.
I bet it probably end up being like a slow migration.
I think so too. Yeah. But they say Dropbox will make Google stronger both by bringing in new users, of course, from Dropbox, their ever-increasing share of the cloud storage market, and by enhancing Google's capabilities in the cloud storage space. Because you acquire Dropbox, you're also acquiring all their servers, and it's a big move. So,
which they've got to have. Like, man, I mean, I told you the other day, like, it was a while ago now, but we were talking about storing something on Drive, and I'm like, oh yeah, go for it, just put it on mine, because you know, not only do I have the free 15 that they give you every time you sign up for a Google account, I've got the extra 15 from being a $5 a month business account, and then oh hey, you bought a Motorola phone, here, have another 50.
That's right.
Like, I've got a 80 gig hard drive space with Google that I pay $5 for. And actually the $5 is only a chunk of it, so if I stop paying the money, I'd still have a 50 gig 65 gig hard drive.
Right, you're only losing 15.
All right.
Yeah, and it's crazy. And now there's other points that people are talking about too with this is like somebody mentioned, I don't want anyone mining my personal files, least of all for advertising purposes. And, you know, it's a fair point. Finding ways to mine user data responsibly and effectively while preserving the privacy is a serious barrier to building the internet of me, as they call it. The path is filled with potential pitfalls and all kinds of dangerous turns. But the history of web technology products is one of trade-offs, basically, of data provided in exchange for services rendered. Consumers consider the trade-off acceptable when the value added outweighs the burden, you know, of the intrusions. Over time, they stop thinking of it as much as of a trade-off at all. Now, take your location data, for example. Allowing a company to track and use someone's location used to be a matter of some controversy. Today, few users of like Google Maps or Yelp or even the latest online dating services would argue that they're not receiving value in exchange for their location data. So they're giving up their privacy of their location data for something. That makes it okay. Now, Google, for its part, serves you advertisement based on categories and keywords it finds in your Gmail inbox. The very idea of this sort of advertising, taken at face value, seems intrusive, and in the hands of a less responsible company providing no apparent value for the intrusion, it would be. But Google is very clear that the service is automated and completely blind. And as it states, no humans read your email or Google account information in order to show you advertisements or related information. And they also provide an opt-out choice, which you can find in the ad settings. I didn't know that. That's fantastic. But now the third question is, why would Dropbox even let Google buy it? I mean, Dropbox they turned down Apple. So this is, give or take, the $10 billion question. Dropbox founder and CEO Drew Houston is an ambitious person. If the rumors are true, he turned down an offer from Steve Jobs and has possibly turned down inquiries from Google over the past few years anyway. It's clear that Houston wants to take Dropbox all the way to the top, and he'd rather become the next Google than sell out to Google. Take your money, man, and go do something else, because you're not beating Google.
I mean, I could imagine he's probably pretty bitter that Google took his great idea and turned it into magic. But
that's
don't
what
be an
Google
idiot.
does. I mean, if they're going to give you $10 billion or something, hold out for $15 billion. Guess you can start a few more companies with that.
Yeah, I mean, unless they have other things up their sleeve that they're going to market and build their company to be like a Google, then they're if they're counting on this one to. No, not going to work.
You're too far
if you're
behind.
They don't make robots. Come on now.
Right. They're not buying up Boston Dynamics and
robots.
I wonder where they're at with that. Haven't heard much from after the acquisition of Boston Dynamics.
All the things that they own, they're going to have to own. They're going to have to be like a city soon because of just the amount of space and stuff and resources to develop all these things.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be like Google Town, which is
interesting.
basically part of San Francisco, I guess. But
yeah, but man, what if they did have to go take a chunk of land for themselves?
Yeah,
that'd be crazy. But let's take another quick break here, and we'll talk net neutrality when we come back. It's been a big topic lately. Tom Wheeler discussed it, the FCC commissioner, back in January, and it kind of started with the Twitter blocking that happened, I don't know, a few weeks, maybe a month ago. But we'll talk about that here after the break. Again, make sure to go over to livespeakradio.com and check out indianatalks.com and get their mobile app. We'll be right back here on LiveSpeak Radio.
We look at boots the way beer enthusiasts looked at beer back in the 80s. You have two choices. You can go with one of the big corporate mammoths and get a mass-produced mediocre product, or splurge for the fancy imported stuff, but pay a small fortune for it. That's why we founded Boston Boot. To make a boot for the average guy, but not in an average way. We're doing for boots what fellow Bostonians did for beer when they opened some of the first microbreweries. We're making it the right way, in smaller batches, with obsessive attention to quality in every minute detail. We're opening a micro-shoery, and we have the experience to pull it off. That's Chad Gombis, our designer. He has spent decades designing footwear for some of the world's top brands, arming him with the knowledge to craft a boot that combines its rugged support with the comfort of an athletic shoe. That's me, Joe Prue. I've been in the business for years. We weren't going to settle when it came to picking materials, so we went with leather from the century-old Horween Leather Company in Chicago. They're the people who provide leather for the top shoemakers in the world. This is Joe Lyons. He's here to help us work our magic and hustles every day to keep this company small so we can keep thinking big. And this is Boston. Boston is our home and our inspiration. We want our boot to be like our city, classic in its beauty and edgy in its innovation, which is why our boots have a timeless style, yet are designed differently than any other boot out there. And of course, just like Bostonians, our boots are ready for whatever Mother Nature dishes out. The only thing missing is you. We've come a long way to craft a boot that's worthy of our city's name, and with your support, we'll be able to fund the molds and materials needed to make our first production run. We're Boston Boot, and we're asking you to walk proud with us.
Hey everybody, this is John from LiveSpeak Radio. Radio advertising has always been one of the best mediums for businesses to reach their target audience, and with the success of internet radio, it's reached a whole new level. Internet radio is the most cost-effective way to reach a wider audience, and at LiveSpeak Radio, we have a global audience. That means that we can offer the ideal platform for your business to advertise. To advertise on LiveSpeak Radio, get in touch with us today through our website at livespeakradio.com or send us an email to marketing@livespeakradio.com.
If it's geeks you want, then it's geeks you got. You're listening to the Geeks of LiveSpeak, Justin Gilson, Alan Quant, and John Rainey. We won't keep you any longer. Back to the show.
Welcome back, everybody, to Live Speak Radio. We were talking a lot before the break about Microsoft, and we're going to get off of that topic because it just upsets us. I do want to talk about this new phrase and things that have been thrown around the internet and over social media and all the media called net neutrality or network neutrality. I have actually an audio clip here explaining what net neutrality is. It's about a 3 or 4 minute video, but it's a fantastic explanation of what net neutrality really is and some of the things that will affect us with net neutrality. And so I'll play that, and then when we come back from listening to that, we'll explain a little bit more about it and how it may affect you as a user. So this is net neutrality explained.
This is the World Wide Web, a giant decentralized network connecting billions of people across the world, the source of much of the world's freest and most innovative content, shaped and improved by the world's freest and most innovative minds, yet designed and controlled by no single person, company, or government. The Internet functions by sending small clusters of information called data packets from one computer to another. This data packet transmission is how you are able to read online newspapers, download songs, or watch online videos. Internet service providers, or ISPs, own the networks of wire and cable through which these packets travel. And for the use of these travelways, the companies that own them charge users a fee, usually a flat monthly fee. In some countries, like China and Pakistan, the government puts up blocks along these travelways, because some of the packets have information that officials don't want people to see. But in the US, this interconnected system has stayed very open and free, because the government has stayed hands-off and the companies have incentive to cooperate with each other, so that each of their networks keeps the data flowing as quickly and smoothly as possible. But now, that freedom we enjoy in the US is threatened, thanks to the efforts of the Federal Communications Commission to impose so-called net neutrality rules. Net neutrality advocates claim that without their rules, ISPs will impede access to content provided by companies they don't like or view as competition. Net neutrality would correct this situation by forcing ISPs to be neutral, by offering equal accessibility to all online content. But the problem is, this nightmare scenario net neutrality advocates posit has never actually happened. If AT&T DSL blocked your access to Google because they wanted you to use Yahoo, what would you do? Probably cancel your plan and go to a provider that gives you easy access to your favorite sites. Neutrality is what most customers want, which is exactly why ISPs have stayed neutral without a single government regulation telling them to do so. Net neutrality types also worry that companies will charge some users for the amount of data they use, instead of a flat monthly fee. Some companies might do this, but it could actually result in cheaper prices for those users who don't download several feature-length movies a day or run a video hosting website. After all, someone has to pay for the increased use of bandwidth. Just like someone has to pay for the increased electricity used by the mansion down the street, or by the local mall. Yet we pay for our electricity use as individuals or households, not by subsidizing the use of everyone in the country. And for those customers who do want a flat monthly fee, competing companies will likely recognize that desire and offer services to meet it.
Okay, I'm going to stop the audio right there. There's only about 30 minutes or 30 seconds left of it because I've heard that explained and as kind of a rebuttal also from different people about if there's this non-net neutrality basically where the ISPs can regulate your speed and things like that. They're saying that, well, they'll just adapt and they'll give better deals for people that use less. And they won't because there's no reason to. Because it's a commodity that is technically free that they're charging for. So they're not going to get on board. Comcast is not going to give you a cheap, super $10 a month deal unless it's really bad. I mean, you get like 5 megabytes or something a month, but I don't see that happening. And a lot of people are agree that that's not happening. Now, the interesting thing about this, and the more I'm reading about it, is that the FCC, one of the FCC commissioners, Tom Wheeler, he's actually a former lobbyist for cable and wireless companies. So having this guy rewriting the rules, of course, in favor of telecom giants is kind of asinine. I mean, in January, it kind of all started. A federal appeals court rejected regulations designed to assure some measure of fairness in the way Americans' internet service providers, or ISPs, handle information traveling through the networks. And the problem, according to the court, was not so much that the FCC couldn't insist on what is called network neutrality, the idea that customers, rather than ISPs, should decide priorities for the information they get online. So that's the biggest argument right there, is that the customers, us, we should be able to decide the priority of what we get, or how we get it, rather than ISPs. Like in the example in the audio, in the guy saying, what would you do if your cable company all of a sudden says that you can't use Google and you got to use Bing or Yahoo? How are they going to be able to say that? But if they put these regulations into place, that's exactly what's going to happen. Now, these proposed rules, of course, would require that all ISPs must transparently disclose to their subscribers and users all relevant information as to the policies that govern their network. The second thing is that no legal content may be blocked. And the third thing is that ISPs may not act in a commercially unreasonable manner to harm the internet, including favoring the traffic from an affiliated entity. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, that phrase right there, to not act in a commercially unreasonable manner to harm the internet, or, of course, include favoring the traffic from an affiliated entity, of course that's going to happen. Because what Netflix and things like that are going to do, because they're competing with people like Amazon Prime and things like that, and HBO Go and Hulu, is Netflix is going to go to Comcast and say, look, we're going to give you $2 billion if you keep our pipes open and you give us the fastest streaming speed possible. That's going to mean that everybody on Comcast has to use Netflix. And if they try and use something else, it'll just bog down and they won't ever get anywhere. That's the whole thing of net neutrality, or network neutrality, is neutral. Nobody should decide what I'm getting online and what I'm not. If it's illegal, there are regulations for that. And yeah, you can be persecuted. But blocking me completely from something because you decide, or my cable company decides, is crap. It's just absolute crap. And we're, they're calling it open internet net neutrality. And I wanted to explain the person that actually came up with this term, net neutrality. It actually came from Tim Wu, who's a law professor at Columbia University, and he actually coined that phrase, net neutrality. He discussed how the FCC proposed changes could affect an average consumer, and I have an audio clip from an NPR interview, which is fantastic. Audie Cornish actually interviewed Tim Wu a few weeks back on this issue. So I'll let you have a listen to this, because Tim Wu is very, very well versed in this, and he's been studying it for a long time, and he can explain what it's going to do. But this is a great interview. This is Tim Wu and Audie Cornish from NPR.
For more reaction, we turn to the person credited with coining the term net neutrality. Tim Wu is a law professor at Columbia University. He says if the proposed changes go into effect, consumers can expect prices to rise.
Companies like Netflix, companies that like Amazon that rely on not paying cable and telephone companies to reach consumers will have to pay, and therefore will end up costing the consumer more.
Now, advocates of usage-based pricing are arguing that, why shouldn't a company like Netflix or Google have to cover the cost of being a bandwidth hog? And they're also saying that this should in some way enable people to buy cheaper broadband packages.
Well, the problem is there's no real competition in broadband, and so prices will not go down. They have never gone down. So I don't think that's going to happen. And as for contributing, these companies already make enormous contributions, and in fact, users pay a lot for their broadband to be fast. So that it's kind of a strange argument. Really, what they're talking about here is a new way for cable companies mainly to make more money, and that's one part of the economy I think that doesn't need to make more money.
Now, the head of the FCC has argued that there's a lot of misinformation about their proposal. And there are provisions in the draft that would provide some oversight to deter a company from taking kind of drastic actions. What's your reaction to what they put forward?
My reaction is that the Commission is not omnipotent nor omnipresent. It doesn't know everything that's going on, that there will be a serious cost in terms of free speech that's very hard to measure economically, very hard for them to see, and so that their idea that they can supervise and see everything that's happening on the Internet and know that speech is being hurt is not correct.
But you also have an incredibly active Internet activist community, right? I mean, I think people saw that with the Stop Online Privacy Act, that debate. Isn't this a scenario where, again, the Internet, in a way, polices itself, that people would highlight what they think is abuse by these companies?
I think that community may start policing Tom Wheeler and the FCC. I don't think the community is able to police monopoly carriers. There's no real other option. There's a lot of economic power there, and as I said, activism needs to be directed towards the FCC to protect net neutrality and not abandon this important principle.
Now, one other thing, Tom Wheeler also says that the new rules would look at any pay-for-priority arrangements carefully and on a case-by-case basis and block the ones that aren't found to be commercially reasonable. That's still not enough protection for you, it sounds like.
No, commercially reasonable and free speech are not principles that coexist well. I think we've learned from the history of free speech in this country that you need to have a clear principle, not a case-by-case adjudication of free speech performed by an unaccountable federal bureaucrat.
What's the worst-case scenario here for you, Professor Wu, as far as you're concerned?
I think the worst case is that we see the Internet kind of wither and disappear as a forum for free speech and new companies getting started. A world in which to get started, it's more like cable television. You need a lot of money to even open a website and really reach a number of users, that things become entrenched and kind of frozen. And we've seen what cable TV has become, what it could have become. I think the Internet could very easily become that, something where it's only a forum for the rich to speak and nobody else gets heard.
Tim Wu is a law professor at Columbia University and advocate of net neutrality. He's opposed to the new rules proposed by the FCC that could open the door to new price structures for Internet access. Tim Wu, thanks so much for talking with us.
It's been a pleasure.
So that's Tim Wu, law professor at Columbia University. I like what he said there. He said, I think we learned from the history of free speech in this country that you need to have a clear principle and not a case-by-case adjudication of free speech, and especially a free speech performed by an unaccountable federal bureaucrat. You have somebody like Tom Wheeler is the head of the FCC, or a commissioner of the FCC, I should say, who's a lobbyist, or former lobbyist for cable and wireless companies. So what do you think his agenda is? Probably for the wireless companies and cable companies. I mean, that's where the money is, because cable companies are just plain rich because they're selling a commodity that is free, basically, and making tons of money over it. And we're already seeing caps being put on, and talks about this. And Comcast talked about putting like a 300 gigabyte limit on your internet per month. That was talked about before this even started, the net neutrality thing. And that was just something that Comcast was going to start doing, and that caused a little bit of an uproar because people don't think they should be limited for that. But on the other hand, with mobile data and things like that, you're limited, mostly. So they're thinking, well, if you can do it for cell phones, we can do it for all internet. I just don't understand it. Now, what do they exactly mean for us? Like he said, if you have companies that are paying your internet provider, Comcast or whoever it is, to allow their product or their media to stream faster or be the only one, in that, like Comcast allowing only Google or only Bing, that creates a crazy monopoly. You know, if a company so big as Comcast, I mean, I don't know how many customers they have. But could you imagine?
They ate up Time Warner recently, right?
Yeah.
And then another one, I can't think of who.
I can't remember who the other one is either. But I mean, if they're going to control that, that's a lot of people that they're controlling and telling you how you can get information on the internet. I don't want you using Google. You have to use Bing because we said so. Now the other thing is, if you want to use Google, maybe we'll charge you extra because we just decided we could. And that's crazy. It's crazy talk.
Yeah, see, after listening to some of those, I think I've changed my view on this a little bit. because while I would be very irritated and disappointed if these these worst case scenarios start happening, where my usage is limited, or I'm forced to use certain services on the internet, and like Google instead of Bing, or Bing instead of Google. But just like I was saying with Microsoft, if a company, and they actually mentioned it in the recording too, is that if a company wants to make a bad decision that's going to affect their business, then that's their right. And people are just going to switch to another provider. But then that is where the issue comes in, is there aren't enough providers.
No.
Like this place I've recently moved into luckily had the option, which I've never seen in a building. Usually you have either DSL or cable. You don't normally have both set up, but this one I actually had the option of connecting to Comcast or Verizon, and but usually you only have that one option. Unless you're in a house, but people in apartments and things like that. So if you have Comcast, you don't have a choice to choose another provider. So that is a dilemma, but I don't like the idea of the government stepping in.
I don't either.
I like the concept. I like the motive, but it's the first step into something bad, because I would actually much rather companies have control over the internet than the government.
Right. Well, and it shuts out, like, you're a web developer, so you start up a web development company, and you have these websites and everything, and your website will not load because you cannot pay a company enough money to get that pipe open to your servers or something. And that's the kind of stuff that it would trickle down, and it would end up happening if it's not regulated, properly. And the biggest thing is that the biggest issue, really, I think, is that if you believe the FCC's claim that it can and will set a high bar, of course, for what kind of traffic management is, quote, commercially reasonable. That phrase, the commercially reasonable, who decides that?
Yeah, so that's where it gets scary, because I think, the worst case scenarios with the companies having full control could be bad, but there is an option. Even though, it is, like I was saying, the options are slim right now to change to a different carrier, but the possibility for option is there. And, you look at what Google's doing. Google's trying to give internet to everybody. So, before long, who's going to care if you can't get Comcast? Just go use Google's free hotspot, and you're, that's, you can connect to wherever you're at. But, lost my train of thought.
Yeah, but if Google's giving away internet everywhere, if I get this free internet from Google, that's fine. But now, I guess Google would be the internet service provider, wouldn't they? Or would I have to?
Yeah, they would be the provider. That's what I was getting
at. That's interesting.
But there is the option. So, but if the government takes control and starts setting these guidelines, which at this point, yes, they are. The motives are good, and the guidelines sound right. But the worst case scenario with the government would be substantially worse.
Yes.
Because there aren't options. We don't have another government to choose from.
No, and we have nobody to tell the government they're doing it wrong or doing something bad.
Right. We have their rules, and that's it. So, I definitely don't like them stepping in. I totally was for it until I started really listening to those talks, and I don't like it.
I don't like it. And like the chairman's argument defending this position is that even redefining internet service as a public utility and regulating it under Title II rules like the phone service is would only ban unjust and unreasonable discrimination, potentially leaving a loophole for ISPs to sell the, quote, fast lane. And many worry they'll use to tier internet services in a manner similar to cable TV. Which, I don't know if that's such a huge problem of allowing people to have.
No, it's a business that's got to.
They're going to have tiers.
Times.
Because it's going to be internet's going to be unlimited for everybody. Who's going to make money? So a company's going to say, well, we got to try and limit it somehow and make some money. Okay, but why in the heck does the government have to even be involved in it. And that's what scares me, is because once there's these loopholes, we have no idea how they're going to get exploited.
Yeah, see, I think if the government wants to get involved, they should create their own and make it public and make it available to as many people as possible. And then they can regulate that however the hell they want.
Right.
So then you do have this option to take the free government cheese version of it, instead of having to go with what the companies are doing. But actually coming in and telling the companies what they can do and what they can't, I think that's bad.
Yeah.
Because it is a company, they should be able to do whatever they want. I mean, within the law.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, you think about it, like we were saying before the show started, we were talking about, you know, how cable TV is dwindling down. I mean, you still have the people that are less tech savvy, who, you know, don't have computers and aren't watching, you know, Netflix instead of getting cable TV.
Right.
But that's going to change really soon. And so they need their main source of income. I mean, you got to think this great service that we have, this great ability to connect to the internet at broadband speeds, just always be connected, wasn't there, you know, 10 years ago. And the only reason it was provided is because of these cable companies and phone companies that made their money and were able to build this service because of the money they made off of cable television. And now that service is going to be going away, and so is that revenue. So you have to allow them to grow.
Yeah.
You know, these are the people that gave you this service. So allow them to find a new way to make their money.
As long as they're keeping reasonable net neutrality. You know what I mean? As long as it's not pigeonholing people into having to make a decision that they obviously isn't a decision, you know, where you have to get this plan and you have to use this. That's the worst case.
The most I would be comfortable with the government stepping in is putting a cap on how much you can charge for data.
Right.
That way, at least the financial end of it, you know, they don't have the ability to just totally rape you, you know, because there's no options, you know, we're going to force you to pay, you know, just like gas prices. I mean,
yeah. Oh yeah.
They push data up to, you know, $5 a megabyte.
Right.
And, you know, and that would be ridiculous. But, especially when you do have, you know, like your car and stuff, you have to do things for work, or you have to, you know, so you have to have this service. So I think if the government stepped in and did kind of what they've done with like the government phones and stuff, so because people need to have phones. I mean, it's, you know, when you're poor, you've had bad circumstances in your life, and you need to go out and find a job, things like that. A cell phone is almost, I mean, you absolutely have to have it, because the companies are going to want to get a hold of you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to lose the job to somebody who is, you know, reachable. So I think if the government came in, brought in their own version of the internet, that would be the best way to do it.
Yeah.
But not to say Comcast can't have internet, only the government can, but just have that alternative.
Right.
You know, and then we'll see where they take it. Because I think if they want to come in with the net neutrality, then I think they should try their own internet first, so we can actually see what they're going to do to it.
Yeah.
Because
that's a good point.
Yeah.
You know, and I found this other article on, there's freepress.net, talking about the open internet, and this going back to 2008. And I'm reading here, I'll just read a few paragraphs, because this sums it up perfectly. It says, as Obama's second FCC chairman, Tom Wheeler will release a proposal for a new rule. All reports suggest that Wheeler's proposal betrays Obama and millions of people who have called on the FCC to enact strong and enforceable net neutrality protections. See, Tom Wheeler was sworn in as the FCC commissioner by Obama because he said that he has net neutrality on his mind, and that is he's a big person for it. And that's how he somehow got the job. But that has changed because money talks. Now, the plan reportedly would allow internet service providers to charge extra fees to content companies like Google and Netflix for preferential treatment. That's a great phrase. Giving ISPs the green light to implement internet payola schemes, which would be a disaster for startups, nonprofits, and everyday internet users who can't afford the unnecessary tolls. Now, I've heard this term a lot, and I don't know much about it, but the zero-sum game, have you ever heard that?
Heard of it, yeah.
It's like if one person wins, the other one has to lose, or I don't know. It's something like that. But they say it's bad news for anyone who thinks the internet should remain open to all comers. The internet's flat network architecture has allowed anyone to innovate without having to first seek permission from the service providers that control much of the access to the internet users. Under Wheeler's proposed regime, ISPs won't just be able to favor the sites that they pay up. They'll also be allowed to give special preference to their own services. For years, companies like AT&T and Verizon have tried to kill any net neutrality rules that prevent them from protecting their legacy voice, text, and video services from the kind of competition an open internet makes possible. So, like you were talking about, there's some kind of competition in there, and with having something completely open, it's hard to regulate anything, of course. And then companies that like AT&T and Verizon trying to not so much kill the net neutrality, but change the rules so they can protect their company, so they're not getting boxed out and disappear.
Yeah, I mean, because you could end up, I mean, they could block Skype, Verizon, which still makes their money on communication voice stuff. They could block out Skype connections and things like that, so that you're more apt to pick up their VoIP phones.
Yes, exactly.
But at the same time, it's still their thing. I think at the end of the day, no matter how great that would be, if we could stop them from doing things like that, the moment the government steps in, it's all over. I mean, look at what's going on with healthcare.
Yeah.
Whether you're for it or against it, it's just we're now in a position where you have to do something. The government has to be involved.
Yeah.
In healthcare now, and it's just kind of scary, and we're going to end up doing the same thing with the internet, and that sucks.
Well, and it's like they say, and this is another great little paragraph here, is the prioritization of data on the internet is a zero-sum game. Unless there is actual congestion, no website will pay for priority treatment. This means Wheeler's proposed rules would actually give ISPs the incentive to create congestion through artificial scarcity by clamping down on the data stream and charging more per bit. So there's that little loophole where they can create something and create false traffic and congestion just so they can charge you more.
Right.
And that sucks because then, your Netflix, if they're doing it, then they're paying a company to open up that thing, the stream, but then who's going to pay them back? We are, the customers. So then my $7 a month Netflix goes up to $20 or something like that. I think the cable companies or the internet companies are going to probably, we look at companies like Microsoft making really dumb decisions, but these are decisions that they got to think through, and a lot of these worst case scenarios would just be detrimental to their business. I mean, it would be a quick, we're going to make some extra money here for a year, but we're going to lose all of our business. Because cutting off parts of the internet or limiting it is only going to hurt their business. Well, it's only going to hurt everything,
Right. So the odds of them actually doing it are pretty slim, because they would fare much better by raising their rates than saying you can only use Netflix, not Hulu.
Right.
Or slowing down your connection when you try to use Hulu in favor of Netflix, or things like that. It's not even a good business model. So
no. And that, just going right along with what you're saying there, under Tom Wheeler's little scheme that he's doing here, there's no motivation for internet service providers to deliver next generation internet. You know what I mean? There's no more competition at that point. There's no reason to try and give people better deals and faster internet and things like that. So I don't know. We're going to see internet service provider companies going out of business. I don't know. It's a slippery slope. And like everything that gets done with the government, is if they can get it right. That's what he was originally, Tom Wheeler was trying to do. His original proposal was to try and keep net neutrality, but also provide a way that you can kind of create a competition of services and things like that. But now he's gone to a different step of that, leaving loopholes open, and it's just once things get rewritten properly, then there won't be so much heartache. I don't think people will be so upset about it, but because they haven't gotten it right yet, there's too many things that can go wrong.
Yeah, I hope enough people are informed about this so that it doesn't go through. Because I know a lot of people that are actually for the net neutrality, and I was actually for it before we started this show. But now being a little more informed, I realize why I wouldn't be for it. And hopefully it's not one of those things that gets passed because of low information.
Right.
Which again is, I think, why the healthcare got passed so easily, is because most people I knew that were for it were totally under the assumption that this was free healthcare for everybody.
Yes.
And that is absolutely not what it is, And so it's just a low information thing, and that sucks. So
yeah, I mean, I'll claim it, and I guess reemphasize my stance on it is that I'm totally for net neutrality. I want to keep it as neutral and keep companies as neutral as possible to keep our internet open. I don't want anybody telling me that I have to go here to do this, or that I have to have a slow internet connection because Google won't allow it or something like that. I'm for the neutrality, and I want it to be as equal as possible, but it is a commodity, and it has to be regulated in some way.
Yes, it's not like the radio, where I believe the FCC needs to be involved in,
right.
Because it's a public thing. It's not. You do not need to have a service to tune into the radio, so there does need to be some sort of responsibility there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because if you listen to the crap that's on satellite radio, it's stuff that I would never want my children to hear and things like that. But satellite radio is a service that you need to pay for, and you would know what you're getting into.
And therefore, the company is responsible.
Right. And the people making the crap are responsible too. If it's junk and their station doesn't get listened to because it's junk, then that's their own problem. But yeah, if the internet was a completely public thing, or if the internet just existed, all you needed was a device to access it, then I could see where they would need to step in somewhere somehow. But no, it's not that situation.
It's just not as simple as, they are trying to make it out to be. Tom Wheeler especially saying that, I have, where is his? I have a interview from Tom Wheeler that I want to play, and where is it? What is net neutrality? I think that's. Let me see if this is it here.
Producer, where's the producer?
I don't know. I think we lost our producer.
Oh, did he go on vacation with John?
Yeah. How'd you know that?
I'm not out of touch.
Yeah, right. This is I labeled them both. What is net neutrality? That didn't help me much, did it? Two of them with the exact same name. So
what are naming conventions?
Right. So I'm going to play this sample, and it might explain what net neutrality is again. But I think it's Tom Wheeler. So let me take a look here and listen to this, and it'll explain again for anyone listening what net neutrality is.
The way the internet works today, everyone is connected to each other through the same level playing field.
Net neutrality comes from the idea that all information on the internet is treated equally. Data is transmitted over the internet in packets and flows freely through all networks between you and the source of the data.
It makes
we currently have an open internet.
More money
ISPs
to use it.
Distribute data neutrally.
Everyone else
that means
will get the
whether you
money.
want access to Facebook, Netflix, or YouTube, the ISP will deliver all data packets with the same preference. In a non-neutral internet, an ISP can ask an application provider such as Facebook to pay an additional fee to deliver their data packets faster. Facebook could buy this preferential treatment, giving them an edge over their competition and pushing other sites out of the market. On the other hand, given that they do not comply, an ISP can greatly reduce the speed in which their data is delivered. This also opens the possibility for ISPs to act in an anti-competitive manner. A cable ISP could slow down access to Netflix to promote its own digital television service. One of the biggest legislative decisions regarding net neutrality came in January of 2014. The lawsuit between Verizon and the FCC emerged as part of a plan by Verizon to begin selling metered internet packages similar to those of cellular data plans. The court did not oppose the idea of net neutrality. The FCC lost because they had attempted to apply common carrier neutrality rules but had refused to categorize broadband ISPs as common carriers. FCC Chairman Tom Wheeler has recently announced that the Commission will introduce a new plan pushing net neutrality on the regulatory side. However, companies like AT&T have already filed patents outlining a tiered internet pricing model. To see the latest news on net neutrality, check out Mashable's latest coverage. And don't forget to watch the other videos in our Mashable Explained series.
Okay, that's my mistake there. I thought that was the interview, but that was actually Armand Valdez from Mashable. I actually talked to him yesterday. Was trying to get him to come on the show today to talk more about it because he's well versed in it. So I guess I don't have the Tom Wheeler interview, but I'll get it. I know I have it somewhere on the website. I know I put it up on our website, so you can check it out at livespeakradio.com. But just whether you're for or against it, just be informed. You know, if it's going to affect you as a user, learn about it. Make sure you know what they're talking about because it gets very confusing. And they do that on purpose. You know, if you can't understand it, there's a reason for that. And they, use giant words and confusing phrases and law terminology and things like that. So just stay informed. And again, a note: don't update to Windows 8.1 if you have Windows 8. You'll be one of the few lucky ones. I've been getting the little alert when I restart my laptop saying 8.1 is available. Do you want it? And for the last I don't know how many months.
My God.
I've been turning that off because I can't there's no way to turn it off from coming up. So I get that all the time and I'm like, nope, I'm not getting 8.1, and there was a reason, and now I know why. Because all of a sudden there's some update you have to have. That will probably crash your computer when you install it, so have fun with that.
Well, government better step in.
Yep, better get them in there. And Tom Wheeler, where you at?
Crash neutrality.
Crash neutrality?
Neutrality.
Nudity? Neutrality?
Crash nudity?
Yeah. Well, that's all I got for the show. You got anything else, Alan? You got?
No, that's it.
That's all. Oh, I do want to mention Alan is back and doing your private sessions. More on the digitalcraft.com. You can go over there and schedule a session with Alan now if you want to learn something. Which most people do. If you do, he's your man.
If you don't want to learn, well then,
that's
the way to do it.
Join a circus.
Don't join me.
Yeah. So we'll be here again next week, and we might actually have Reese Lightning on the show. And I said
Reese Lightning.
He's a comedian, actor, and over in Manchester, and he's expressed an interest to be on the show. So let's see if we can get him on the show. And I'm going to try and get another quote from Armand Valdez from Mashable about net neutrality, because I think I've even confused myself this episode. With all the different stories, but there are different stories on our website, livespeakradio.com, if you want to learn more about net neutrality and what these rules mean for the web users. It's a great article there. I did want to mention real quick, I forgot we have a few WTF stories, but there's one that I wanted to really talk about, and there's been this big thing about deporting Justin Bieber.
Do it. Get him out of here.
So the White House quoted, and in 2 words, no comment. The White House basically, I don't think they're going to deport him, but nearly 275,000 people signed an internet petition calling the Canadian-born teen idol reckless and asking Obama to revoke his green card. That's far more than required to merit an official response through the White House. The White House has We the People program. The White House says it's sorry to disappoint, but it won't be commenting. It's citing a caveat that lets the White House decline to address certain petitions. Go figure. Where'd that caveat come from? The White House is using the occasion to argue that an immigration overhaul could shrink deficits by nearly $1 trillion over 2 decades. The White House says that's equivalent to 12.5 billion concert tickets or 100 billion copies of Bieber's debut album. Well, I've been seeing stuff about him on the news, and he's recently, I mean, as an idol for people and a role model for people, he's been seen coming out of brothels in all kinds of different countries. Not really commenting what happened in these brothels, but I mean, what is wrong with this kid?
Oh, he was just there counseling them, telling them
Yeah.
that they. It reminds me of the To Catch a Predator stuff. Oh, I just brought these condoms and wine coolers because I was going to tell her how bad they are for you.
Oh, I missed that show. That's funny. Chris Hard. What's his name? Chris something? I can't remember. Here, have a seat right here. Okay.
Yeah.
They always do it too.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, sure. I'll just sit right here and
Oh, yeah, this sounds fun. Let's talk
lie
about
my
this.
way out of it. Oh my God. Another story. I had to mention this one too. A man named Edward Cocaine was arrested for drug possession, and the judge, John Hurley. I mean, there's a picture on our website you can see of the video conference, and John Hurley, the judge, is just cracking up. He just couldn't hold it in. He said, "I thought I'd seen it all." This Florida judge, he just couldn't conceal his amusement when a man came before him charged with drug possession, and his name is Edward Cocaine. There were giggles, of course, in the bond court, and the judge, John J. Hurley, did a double take as the man's name was announced before he uttered, "What?" "My last name is Cocaine," the man said proudly at the podium. It's transpiring that it was indeed his legal name, as stated on his driver's license. Just about every time I get pulled over, Cocaine replied that, "Please tell him to step out of the car." Every single time. But the funny thing is he was actually arrested for illegal possession of Xanax, not cocaine this time.
Hypocrite?
Yeah.
Or no. Liar? No, I don't know.
Pants on
One
fire? But and this judge has over 20 years, and he's like, "I had thought I'd seen it all." Edward Cocaine in my courtroom. I guess his name came from his grandparents. His grandparents came over from Greece, and they changed it in the 20s to cocaine.
Oh, back when cocaine was cool.
Yeah, when they used it for eye surgery.
It'd be like calling your kid
morphine.
Billy Mountain Dew. And then 30 years from now, find out that Mountain Dew is really addictive and will kill you.
And technically, it's cow piss.
Yeah, technically.
Technically. Oh, God. So that's it. That really is it for the show. Those are the WTF stories I forgot that I put on there. Those are also on the website. Make sure to check us out on Facebook.com/LiveSpeakRadio and follow us there. Follow us on Twitter at LiveSpeakRadio. Check out thedigitalcraft.com. And, of course, check us out next week. Hopefully we'll have a comedian on here, Reese Lightning. That should be interesting. So that does it for us here at Live Speak Radio. We will see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Live Speak Radio with hosts Justin Gilson and Alan Quant. Tune in next week to hear more amazing tech news, gadget reviews, and interviews. Don't be afraid to release your inner geek. Listen to Live Speak.